Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah,
I'm Laura.
and we are two best friends who usually do a deep dive into a new book series, one book at a time. But sometimes it's Tuesday, and we're
Tuesday.
talking a new rom-com from. Sorry, I
Book
feel I'm too
to
excited.
movie
I don't even know what to do. A
adaptations.
new rom-com to TV adaptation, Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation, that came out this month.
Woohoo!
Uh-huh. I was very cautiously optimistic about this movie, and I can't wait to talk about it, Laura.
So, Hannah, first, let's just give listeners a little background who don't know about your history with Emily Henry.
Well, my history with Emily Henry starts with my mom dying, as one does. And then one of our friends recommended Beach Read to me, and I read it, and it was, I think, within the first year of my mom dying, actually. And Beach Read is very much about the loss of a parent and coming to terms with it. And there's a very beautiful scene that I sobbed through, and I'm usually not a crier with books. And I just remember, like, I deeply loved the romance of Beach Read. I deeply loved the storyline of the loss of a parent, and kind of even like it's definitely not a one-to-one. My mom did not have a random love of someone else that I was not aware of, but it hit me in all the feels of like reading a character who is also grieving. And then I just kind of became a huge Emily Henry stan, as many women are wont to do nowadays.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, and I've read every single one of her books since Beach Read, kind of in order, I want to say, of Beach Read, then People We Meet on Vacation, Book Lovers, Happy Place, Funny Story, and Great Big Beautiful Life. And I forced Laura to read Beach Read pretty much.
I
I
waited a really long time. Hannah read Beach Read and then loved it so much, and she was like, "You need to read this. I'd really like it if you read this. It'd be important to me if you read this." And I just put it off for a really long time, and then finally I read it, and I was like, "Oh, this is very enjoyable." And so I've read Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, Book Lovers, and Happy Place.
hmm And
So I've
so
not read all of Emily Henry's
And I
work,
wouldn't
but
say that we're both like Emily Henry can do no wrong. Like I think you and I have both had books that we've liked or books that we've
I
disliked
mean,
of her.
I would say
Like,
you're a bigger fan of her than
yeah,
me for
that's
sure.
fair. Uh,
But I think, and I've just been talking to people at work and everything about Emily Henry, and it's interesting from person to person. Each person seems to have their favorite Emily Henry book and
mhm.
a different order of books in which we like the best or second best, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And so I was really excited to see that these were being adapted. I would say I am
Like
actually
all of them are getting adapted.
all of them. And from different places too, which is
Hmm.
wild. But I was a little bit like tepid about People We Meet on Vacation as a book. I think it's actually one of my least favorite Emily Henry books.
Hmm.
Um, so I did walk into this with, mild fear, but suffice it to say, I think that this movie was great and I enjoyed it very much. So
I loved it. I thought it was a very good adaptation. I mean, there were changes made, but I think it was
yes.
very faithful to the book and the characters.
I think it also fixed some of the things I had an issue with in the
Yeah.
book. Um,
I guess
and
we'll get there in just a second, but
yeah.
listeners, this is going to be full spoilers. So if you have not read, I mean, from this point forward, full spoilers for People We Meet on Vacation, the book and the movie. We're going to be comparing the two. So if you have not read or seen the movie, see you in
Go do
another
it.
episode.
Yes, see you
Goodbye.
in another. Go do that and then come back and listen to this. So,
Mhm.
um, People We Meet on Vacation does follow Poppy Wright, who is a travel writer, and in the movie, we kind of have this disjointed narrative where we find out that she has a best friend who she's estranged from. They haven't spoken in a couple of years, and his brother's getting married in Barcelona, and she was not a she missed the invite, and it's happening this weekend, and she wasn't going to
Mhm.
go, but she calls her best friend and she freaks out and she tells him that she's coming to the wedding. And then we get
Mhm.
these flashbacks of them meeting, all these
Their
summers they
relationship.
spent
Hmm.
together, and the current day. And I would say that the book is similar, but also very different. I kind of remember it being not in Barcelona. I think it was like in
It was
California,
not in
actually.
Barcelona. It was,
Yeah,
I had it up here just a second ago. Da, 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 da.
I believe it was somewhere in California.
It is in the US, I think.
Yeah, but
I'll get there.
they got a good deal on filming in Barcelona. And honestly, I think like throughout this entire movie, we're gonna talk about like the plot and what worked for us
Palm
and what
Springs.
didn't. Palm Springs. That's what I thought. I just couldn't
Yeah.
remember the name. Um, Throughout the movie, I had a moment where I was like, man, we don't spend money on rom-coms like this anymore. Like
Hmm.
multiple villas and beautiful, like traveling through Europe. And you can tell that they spent money on the production. And that's so nice to see because even like, especially with the Netflix movie, usually those are strung together by $2 and
Quickly.
some good
Hmm.
wishes. So seeing this, it was just like, it shows that like sometimes if you want to spend money on a rom-com, it works really well and it's
Hmm.
very, very popular. So,
I will say that my vibes from watching this, I really liked it, but it did have a feel of like they took time with it and gave it the money that it needed to make it look
mhm.
good. But also, it very much had the vibe of the people who created this movie seem to very much have a love for rom-coms. I got
Yes.
a lot of like When Harry Met Sally vibes from this movie. And I know that that's kind of the flashback, the in and out nature of this story and how they were, starting off on a college road trip and everything that gives me those When Harry Met Sally vibes. And I also have recency bias because I watched When Harry Met Sally recently. But
I've
I
actually
do think
rarely seen When Harry Met Sally. So like my
I
links
love
to
that
this was
movie.
like Poppy was very much giving me Julia Roberts vibes, just like the like
But
laughing
yeah,
or like
there's
even Sandra Bullock, like main 90s rom-com stars.
yes.
It just felt I felt that energy so
It was
much.
almost like a we're tipping our hat to the
Yeah.
rom-coms of old, and it had a very classic rom-com feel to it that I just feel like we don't see very much anymore.
No, it was just nice to kind of be in that time because it made me nostalgic for all. Like, I grew up on rom-coms. I thought it was so fun to just kind of go back to one of those with like a
Hmm.
refreshing tale.
And
And it
you're
just
right that
worked.
Netflix doesn't have a lot of good rom-coms that come out.
Yeah. I mean, they've had some in the past, but like, because like I'm a huge fan of Set It Up.
Hmm. I like
And
Always Be My Maybe. That
yeah,
one's a good one.
so there are certain ones that they do spend money on, but I'm glad this was one of them. They were like Emily Henry's huge, and like Bookstagram was full on people. There were so many showings of this movie. Like they
Hmm.
really did full force say like we know that women love Emily Henry and
Yeah.
love these books, and
Like
men
this is a
men can love
cash
it too.
cow.
But like let's do this, and they spent the
Hmm.
money and it worked. Like it was so good.
Yeah. So should
Um,
we give people a little bit of background in case they have maybe read the book, but it was a while ago and they can't remember the plot?
yeah.
So you
So
said that she's a writer who goes, a travel blog writer or travel magazine writer? I can't remember.
in the book, I believe she's like a blog post for like a magazine, I think almost.
Hmm.
And so it very much surrounds Poppy and her best friend Alex and these summer trips they took together throughout their lifetime. They
Yeah.
meet in college, they're kind of polar opposites, but they blossom into this great friendship, mostly on a road trip back home for the summer to
Hmm.
Ohio. Um, and in the movie, they're in Boston College. In the book, they're in Chicago. Who knows why?
Hmm.
But they kind of have this like very deep friendship. And each summer they go on these vacations after Poppy drops out of college, which she does in the movie as well. But they just kind of keep coming back together. And throughout it, we're getting these flashbacks, and we see that they're very much there's a lot of chemistry between them, and there's a lot of feelings that are going unsaid through most of these summer vacations. And during this, Alex is in an on again, off again relationship with a woman named Sarah. And Poppy is, as the people watching it in my house deemed it, dating douchebags. Like, um, and
Some truth to that, but she
there's,
recognizes that they're never the one.
well, and she's someone who kind of like, she prides herself on being a free spirit. She travels for work. She goes on these like beautiful vacations. That's her job. I
She's
remember
kind of
loving
a,
the
I'm going to try everything, including a bunch of different boyfriends that are not the right guy for me.
and that's okay. And
Hmm.
Alex is someone who like he had thought about moving to New York. He had thought about doing a lot of things, but he ended up moving back home to Ohio to this small town that Poppy never felt very connected to and actually felt a lot of hatred towards because of how she was
Hmm.
treated when she was growing up. And he kind of has this moment of like, well, there's nothing wrong with our hometown. I loved our hometown. And he's building this life as a high school teacher there. And Sarah, this on again, off again girlfriend, is also a teacher in the book, in the TV series. It feels like she's from Ohio, from that town. In the book, she wasn't. And I remember that that was a
So,
huge holdup for me. But
yes. So in the book, I think she was someone that he had a crush on. And
okay.
Poppy like kind of teased him about it, having a
Mm,
crush on her. And then they actually ended up together. And she moved back to their Poppy and Alex's hometown. And they were both teachers at the same school.
yes.
In the movie, it makes a lot more sense because they have them as high school sweethearts who
Yes.
are on again, off again. And that makes a lot more sense for him having a connection to the town and him
Mm-hmm.
coming back to her constantly in my mind.
Yes. No, well, and that was actually what worked for me though, and this will be our reactions. But in the book, I remember my big holdup was I did not like how mean they were to Sarah, and I did not like Alex's treatment of Sarah because it kind of
Yeah.
felt like, okay, they both like moved to this Ohio place. He had a crush on her, and then she like I kind in my head, and I could be wrong, I remembered it as like she kind of moved there and stayed there for him in some way. And he was just stringing her along and did a bunch of decisions that I did not like. And I was like, it's hard to root for him and Poppy when I'm like, this and even in like the penultimate moment before the book ends and they're about to get together, like Poppy runs into Sarah and I'm like, please leave this woman alone. Please don't talk to her. She deserves better.
I
Like
think the thing was with the way that they portrayed Alex in the book that you probably got hung up on is that his relationship with Sarah was very much formed by the
his
decisions
relationship
that
with
he
Poppy.
made,
Yeah.
but his decisions about Poppy.
Yes.
Because another big thing that happens in the book, in the movie, they have changed this because in the movie, they have a group vacation where Poppy and her current boyfriend, and then Alex and Sarah all go on a group vacation together. And and I can't remember where they're at in the movie, but Poppy has a pregnancy scare.
Yes.
And the next day, Alex then proposes to Sarah.
Hmm.
And then after that, it's like they don't
Well,
talk for quite a
but
while.
that's also the moment where they almost kiss and he has this question of like, what am I to you? And she's like, well, you're
Yes.
my best friend. And that's like
Hmm.
the moment where he's like, okay, this is not real to Poppy. It was real to me, but like I need to move on with my life and like let this dream go.
Hmm.
And it felt like
In the book,
and
though, it's very different because the pregnancy scare is still there, but he ends up getting a vasectomy because he's
he's
so scared about getting someone accidentally pregnant that he
after he
goes,
finds out that Poppy doesn't really want kids too. Like that's also
yes.
a motivating factor as he finds out Poppy doesn't want kids. He saw her have this pregnancy scare and he's like, I never want to do that and like have this pregnancy
And
scare.
doesn't
And
consult his long-term girlfriend at all, just goes and has a vasectomy procedure. So
yes,
that is another huge thing that
that
they
was
changed. But there's
yeah, that was my
also,
biggest holdup in the book was
yeah.
like I just felt like okay, at that point break up with the woman. Like just let her go. Why are you still with her? If you feel that strongly about someone, it's really hurtful to like continue with her and like to be that woman who like I don't want kids personally, like I've never had that deep-seated need,
Hmm.
but you got the sense in the book Sarah very much did, and so like to me I'm
Hmm.
like that's a huge violation of your relationship, like what
Yeah.
happened. um
I I do think too that Henry in the book tries to make it seem like he would have always done this, quote unquote, because we learned that Alex's mother died in childbirth.
yeah.
And so we're kind of led to believe, that Alex has a lot of fears surrounding pregnancy. The thought being that maybe he's worried that he would kill a woman because
Yeah.
pregnancy is extremely dangerous, and he would
Yes.
feel immense guilt about that. And he has this trauma centered to the death of his mother. So I think that we're supposed to believe that, oh, it's not just the accidental, like the pregnancy scare that Poppy has that leads to this. It's the you know,
Overall fear of
overall
yeah.
fear of childbirth that he has that's very deep seated. But I think for at least me and you, when we were reading this, we were very much like, that seems weird to do to Sarah.
Well, and also like they were in their 20s. I do think 20-year-olds are probably a lot more stupid than you and me, like sitting there in our 30s being like, what's happening? Like,
Hmm.
but That was
I
my big
remember
holdup.
thinking that this was a really weird situation
Yes.
when I read the book, considering like the vasectomy and everything. But I don't know that it was something that I got super hung up on in the book.
Yeah.
I think the way that they went with it in the movie was the correct way to go.
Yes. It was so much better in the movie. It also, I did feel bad for the actress who played Sarah because she was just playing a beige blonde woman, and I don't think that they gave her much to do, but I actually think that that
There wasn't much
helped.
to do anyways.
No, there wasn't much to do with it. Like in the book, Alex was just kind of mean to her, and I
Yeah.
was like, I prefer a blonde woman just hanging out in the background, being like, I guess
Hmm.
we're engaged. Like that worked for
Yep.
me, and I do think that that's a strength of the movie is they pulled back from some of the deeper narratives, and they kind of left it a little bit more like these are two people having fun together, and there might be chemistry, there might not be, and we don't have to see the like in between really messy stuff. We're just seeing like
Hmm.
very specific highlights and very specific attraction, or like them laughing and having fun together. And that is helpful for a movie like this, where in the book, I
Yeah.
do think like you're spending more time on the page. You get into a lot of like Poppy's deep-seated trauma. She ends up going to therapy, and
Hmm.
like that's great in a book. I don't think it would have been as fun and frothy as
No,
seeing it on a movie.
no. I I do think that it was a really good way to adapt this in that they knew what things to cut out, what things would
Yes.
be fun to watch, what things would mean more to see on screen versus not. I think there may have been mentions actually of Poppy saying that she had therapy or whatnot. I want to say that there were mentions of that, maybe just one line even when she was talking to someone. But I do agree. Like, yeah, it wouldn't have been as interesting. The movie would have felt slower if we would have
Yes.
had those things added in.
Yes, I do think that those things are so good in a book, but yeah, it's
Hmm.
not quite necessary to this. And I also think something from the book is like Poppy is still very much herself in both. Like she is a very free thinking, freewheeling person. But something about the movie made it a little bit more fun to me, where like
This
because I
was a
think
casting decision. I think that Emily Bader, who plays Poppy, was perfectly
she was
cast.
super I was
Perfectly cast. I want to
her
see this woman in a million more movies.
her first scene in the car with the burrito, I would have like my
I
husband was watching it and
I
he
love
was
her.
sitting there and he was like I feel like they just told him to like get in the car, play it straight. You don't know what's going to happen. And
Hmm.
because he was like, because he did such a good job of looking like, is this happening? But I was sitting there and I was like, I'm so charmed by this woman. I would like, if I would be
She's
so obsessed
amazing.
with her, even with her giant burrito covering my car in salsa. Like, that's so funny. It was just really well done. And
I was watching it thinking I would follow her anywhere. And
right?
like
Of,
she
of
is so
course he's in
great.
love with her. Like, my gosh, look at her. She was so charming and the casting
Hmm.
was so like I can't get over how great she was in all the scenes, like her and Alex dancing.
Hmm.
Um her like she was perfect casting. I thought I enjoyed Tom Blythe too. I thought he did a really
Tom
good job
Blythe,
of
I
like
think, did really good. However, I did keep seeing him as Cornelius Snow.
my sister-in-law was watching it with us and she saw him and she goes, "Is that Hunger Games?"
Hunger Games
And
Nazi?
and it's
What?
really funny because we make a joke that like I thought Tom Blythe was like I thought the guy from the Hunger Games was Austin Butler. Like I was like, that's the same
Oh,
actor, right?
no,
And
no.
it's not. And she thought it was the man from Hannah Montana. So we just kept confusing them for
Oh,
blonde actors.
yeah.
But she clocked that it was Hunger Games when he was a brunette. And she was like, well, he doesn't close his mouth all the way. So I recognized him
Hmm.
immediately. Um,
I
and
think he
he
did a
is,
good job. It was just me, like, not unseeing
I know.
the Hunger Games.
The funny thing is there were so many moments where I kept commenting on things and that they would be brought up in the movie because I was watching them and I was like, well, we kept talking about how tiny like she is so tiny as a human. Like she's so
Emily
short
Bader.
and Emily Bader is so
Mhm.
tiny and like the outfit she was wearing, I was like, man, to have no boobs and be able to wear something like that is insane.
I mean, to
Um,
have no boobs is not as fun as you think.
I don't know. She made those
I
dresses
can
look
tell you,
pretty beautiful. But then they like would talk about how small she is, and she was small in the book, so like it was
mhm.
physically there. And
I
then
just
Tom,
loved her hair and everything.
oh my gosh, and oh,
Okay,
and
I
when
just
they
looked it
talked
up.
about
She is tiny. She's 5'4" and 110 pounds. So yeah,
Yeah, so
she
she is
is
so tiny.
very
Well,
tiny.
and I liked like the pop that when they were talking about the poppy poof, I was like, I'm really glad they actually showed it and it did look
Hmm.
actually poofy. Like there were so many parts of like just polishing this enough. And like Tom Blythe, when he was on that beach, I kept being like, his body is insane. And then she goes,
I know.
oh my God, you're ripped. And I was like, okay, we were all
Hmm.
thinking it. So like, thank you so
Hmm.
much for actually drawing attention to like things in a rom-com that like I think people take for granted are true or like actually pointed out as like that's weird in the progress of this fit or like
Hmm.
they made jokes about his noise canceling headphones and we all were like what are those headphones because they were so noise canceling.
I, there was something about these two, the main duo, Emily and Tom, that Emily, I don't know how she did it, but this is a gorgeous person. She is so beautiful and everything.
Her
But at
makeup
the
was
same
amazing.
time, did she not come off as one of those people that I'm like, you would maybe see her in a group somewhere and she's someone you're like, oh, she's absolutely beautiful, but she's not the person that seems to be like concerned about being like the most attractive person in the room. You know, she could be the one that's wearing like messy bib overalls
Oh
and
yeah.
have poofy hair. Like, I don't know how to describe this,
Just
but
like
she,
carefree. Like she's supposed to be a free
yes,
spirit and carefree and she feels that way.
yes, she absolutely feels that way. And I think Tom Blythe as Alex also gave off the perfect Alex vibes of someone who is very tightened up and worried about perception and
Hmm.
also has to go running to de-stress all the time and just happens to have the most ripped bod on the planet.
On the planet. His legs were like roped muscles. It was
Yes.
insane to see. I'm so sorry. I
I
was so
will say
distracted.
they didn't show enough for the skinny dipping. They did a good job trying to keep that in the dark and him just running around like, oh, oh, where I'm like, oh, come on. You guys are being a little ridiculous. We could have seen a little more of him. It's fine.
Laura's like, show us the. I did say like because you saw everyone's tushes but his, and I was like, there's
Except
so
his.
many tushes in this scene.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of what I was getting at, where it was like, really? I
yeah,
don't know.
come on, we can see Tom Blythe. He
Hmm.
could have gotten the image of him being a fascist out of Laura's head. So.
Cornelius Snow forever. I really hope that doesn't like taint his career, that everyone just sees him as Cornelius Snow. I hope that people start to see him as Alex Nielsen because he was great.
He was great. And their chemistry was beautiful. Again, like
Yes,
their dancing scene in New Orleans was like something where I would probably watch
I
that when I
loved
wanted
it.
to feel better. Like because it's so
Honestly, I would
cute.
watch this movie all the time if it's like one of those things. Like it is a feel-good movie.
Yeah. And like
Their scene in the rain, loved it.
so good. And like her not being able to breathe. Like there were moments they pulled from the book because I do think they changed quite a bit. So purists
Hmm.
will be furious. But like there were moments that held true from the book that I was like, oh, I understand why they made these choices because Barcelona is beautiful. And why not film in Barcelona if you can? Um,
Also, it's just cooler to get married in Barcelona than
it
Palm Springs.
it just is. And his brother was a delight. I liked him.
And
13
Emily
Reasons
Henry was
Why.
front and center at the wedding.
I just opened TikTok and people were like, people who didn't realize that this was a book and Emily Henry was the author was like, who's that lady?
Some random actor.
um, but
But
like
yeah, I
the
just
heat in the
wanted to finish.
apartment and the tarps, like those are pulled directly from the book of like
Hmm.
how hot the apartment was, the heat,
Yeah,
everything about it. And that was they were nice throwbacks. Like it just made more
sure.
sense.
I do think so. I don't know if we finished covering the plot,
Oh
but
yeah, sorry.
essentially, I mean, and I think this is fine, but uh, before like they get to the actual wedding of it all, so there's that period of time where they go on that group vacation, and Alex and Poppy have that moment where they kiss after Poppy's pregnancy scare, and Alex is very much questioning their relationship. He proposes to Sarah the next day, and they go back to Linfield, Ohio, the place that he would love to be. And Poppy and Alex don't talk for a long time, and then when she finds out, like you mentioned this at the beginning, Hannah, when she finds out about his brother's wedding, she makes up an excuse to go there, even though she's not supposed to be going there for work. And they run into each other at the airport and end up kind of reconnecting and then developing a relationship again.
Mhm.
And so then they are technically together at the wedding
Yes.
to even their family's delight. And then we do have to have that moment where they break up at the wedding because Poppy doesn't know what she wants out of life.
I I feel like that was that
This
was
is
the
my
one part.
snag of the
Yeah,
movie
this is
because
my
I was like,
snag.
Tom, come on.
Glad we're both on the same page. We'll come back to it because they go their separate ways, and then Poppy starts thinking about it. She decides her job is no longer for her, and the place she really wants to be is with Alex. And she
Hmm.
goes and she professes her love for him, and they start building a life together in New York. Ever heard of it?
Hmm.
In the book, their breakup is more she lies to him about why she's there, which she does in the movie. They kind of just like
Hmm.
gloss over it, and he's like, "Oh, you came to be with me. That's so cute." In the book, she does lie to him. She takes him on a million like terrible tourist traps,
Yes.
and she's kind of just like tricking him to like spend time with her again because she can't
Hmm.
admit that she has feelings for him. And then when they get to the airport and they're like discussing their future, she admits to him like, "Hey, this was all a ruse. I just kind of wanted to escape from everything. I was in a bad place and I just wanted
Yes.
to see you." And he's like, "That's awful. Like, you lied
Hmm.
to me. You made this whole creation up just to like escape from your life. Like,
Yes.
what does that mean about us? Like, what does that mean about your feelings for me?" And he like
Hmm.
takes offense to it. And I remember
As he
watching,
should. And I think I prefer that version.
yes. I think you and I both prefer the book version of that. And then like Poppy
Yes.
goes home, she goes to therapy. She like does some
Hmm.
work on herself. And she runs into someone who like she remembered from high school being awful, and he like apologizes to her and tells her he's in therapy, and that's like the catalyst of getting her to
Hmm.
recognize that she could change as a person. Works really well in the book.
Yes.
The movie version of "You mean you're not ready to plan our the rest of our lives together at my brother's wedding? How dare you?" Very weird.
That was so strange to me because so in the movie it's like they get together and there has been all this buildup for viewers because we're seeing the flashbacks and we know it's they've known each other for 10 years
Hmm.
and everything and that it is a bit of a slow burn. However, it does not feel super slow burn because it's like they get together like the night before or 2 days before the
It's been
wedding.
24 hours since they first fucked. Like, let's
Okay,
put that out
so a
there.
day.
Yes,
They've been
it's been
together a day. They
one
had
day.
a steamy scene that was beautiful and then
A
the
a next morning sex section that had me questioning, why is he not with his brother on the day of his wedding?
not important. The
She has a full face of makeup. He has a white tuxedo. They shouldn't be making out like that.
It's fine. They have makeup crew. But anyways, the people of the capital will provide that. Uh, but, yeah, I do think that it was a little bit jarring for me as a viewer to be watching this happen and knowing that they've only been together 24 hours.
24
And
hours.
then he is like, "You don't know what you want out of our relationship."
You
And
never
I
knew what you wanted.
guess we could excuse this away with well, they've been friends for 10 years. However, they've only been in a relationship for 24 hours.
Like, and she
And
admitted she loved him. Like, it wasn't even one of those where he admitted he loved her and she's like, "I want to be with you." And then he's like, "How do you feel about me?" And she's like, "I don't
yes,
know, you're my best friend." Like, I could see that being like a harsh enough, like, you can't even
yes.
admit your feelings for me. But she like said, "I
She
love
said,
you."
"I
She
love you." And he's
said,
like, "But you won't come back to the home where you
"Ohio?"
were bullied
Like,
all the time. Come on. You love
and
me. You should come back and be bullied by your fellow high school classmates." Like,
or you should know
okay.
that we're spending the rest of our lives in New York. And she's like, "I've only ever had one job. I might be interested in leaving it." Like,
Mhm.
those are, she's being
Jamila
actually,
Jamil is my boss. It's really difficult to decide.
which I did say, her makeup was fantastic. Jamila Jamil's, they should have taken a second pass on it because it was not great, but that's
Oh,
not her
I didn't pay
fault.
that
Like,
much attention.
oh, that's fair.
Jamila always looks awesome, I feel like. So I just kind
She's
of like, you
she's
look
so
good.
beautiful, but they like caked on her makeup for some reason, and I was like,
Mm,
Jamila Jamil, parse it back a little." Like,
yeah.
she looks like herself. Why would you ever cover that up? But like everyone in my household was like, "Hey, Alex, could you like talk about this in the morning? It's probably like 11 o'clock at night. You guys have been drinking all day. Probably not the time to be like." make a decision on where we're going for the
Can you
rest of our
decide right
life.
now on this floor, right after my brother has his first dance with his husband? I need to know then.
It's
Because
now or
that's what it felt
never.
like.
Like, yeah, it
Emily
did
Henry
feel
is
like
standing
that.
there watching. Tell us right now.
Saying, Poppy, it's time for your happily ever after. Get on it. Like that was, I'm so glad we both had that one wrinkle where we're both like,
Yep.
that doesn't make sense. Why would you be
Here's the
doing
thing. I
that?
struggle with this in romance books in general. I think we just talked about this recently, that this like weird we have to break up after we've had a slow burn or just gotten together that exists in all romance books. I'm kind of for just throwing that out unless we actually have a good reason for it to happen.
Right.
And most of the time, it's just BS. Like
No, yeah.
it just never makes sense in my mind, and it always just seems stupid.
Also, there are other better things about tension when you're in like a legitimate relationship. Like it doesn't have to necessarily be we're breaking up, but it could be like we need
Why
to
are there
learn
never
how to
questions of
communicate. Like
there's never questions of like financial security, real
yeah,
things that people have
like
to deal with.
I
Like, oh,
remember
you have to move, we would have to move to where I work because it's hard for me to get a job in the area that you are from, and that would put a strain on our relationship if I were to have to lose this job that I can only work in this area or what have you. You know what I
right.
mean? Like those types of things. Like financial reasons are never brought up, or I don't know.
Or
There's a lot of times like family trauma that is mentioned in rom-coms, but it's rarely brought up as like a reason that people would have a hold up in terms of like
I got a
going forward with a
vasectomy
relationship.
because I didn't want to kill you with my sperm. Like those can be
That would have been a
legitimate.
better third act. We need to break up.
Like
Like
yeah,
I
but I do
think
think
I need therapy. I
and here's the thing, we're not saying they couldn't have fought about Linfield because
Yep.
like it could have been, I've been building this home. I do like my career. If you don't want your career in New York, could we consider it? And like it's like
Hmm.
I don't know what to do, but I need to like walk away from this conversation for a minute. And it's
Yes.
not a we broke up. It's a like, what do we do with the rest of our lives?
Yeah, I think that's another thing that rom-coms need to be better. I think you're exactly right, Hannah. It's the finality of it all that
Yes.
is what's frustrating to us, where it has to be either a yes or no. There's
Hmm.
never any like in between maybe situations in this where it's like, you must tell me right now on the floor at my brother's wedding reception, will you
With my
move back?
dad standing in the background.
My dad is 5 feet away. Tell me now, will you move to Linfield, Ohio and move into my grandma's house with me? And it's or we will never see each other again. Those are your only options.
Yeah.
And it's like that just seems a little too harsh to make that decision after only being in a relationship 24 hours. You're absolutely right. There should be more of a let's have an actual discussion about this
Right.
and the logistics of it all. I think that's what we're both getting at, that
Yeah.
we wanted more just like actual discussions, that this could
Right.
have been something that made sense, but because it has to be so black and white with rom-coms that it's just kind of taking us out of it.
Yes. And also like I do like and even in People We Meet on Vacation, it did work for me a little bit more in the book where he was like, what you just said was really hurtful and you just don't seem to understand. I'm not sure I can do this right now. And like I can't keep waiting for you to decide that I'm an important part of your life. I
Hmm.
think that that is fair because he reached his breaking point. He got a
Yeah.
vasectomy for her. But like and then Poppy goes and she gets therapy. Like we've talked about this with how much we love Alison Cochrun books, and a lot of times the breakup is like, I need to go deal with my own stuff right now, and I cannot be present for you because we're at the
Yes.
early stages of our relationship. Honestly,
Hmm.
honestly, great reason to discuss, great reason to like have that pause in it.
Yes.
But here it was very dialed back because is a it is a movie. They were close to the end. They had to figure it out. Um,
Hmm.
but that was my biggest sticking point with the
Yeah.
movie.
And your other biggest sticking point you said was that when Poppy then has her realization moment, then she goes and has to run and chase down a man who has
Who's
they
been
didn't
running every single day for his entire life. That
they
man gets
missed an
back
opportunity to
spasms.
have a brand sponsorship there where they were like, wow, these Bose headphones, I can't hear a thing.
Well, also, I got so mad because she's sitting there running and keeping up with this runner. Like, Poppy went on the record that she has never run a day in her life. And I was like, I understand she's 105 pounds and 5'4". I don't think she'd be as fast as Tom Blythe,
No,
who runs his back spasms off in the morning.
he could take two steps and be farther than her
Like, which they
just
are
by
like,
being tall.
which again, they do the thing of like, she can't catch up with him. Oh, the light changed so she can finally catch him. And I'm like, but at the same time, no, she
And he
can't.
just like, I will say, I'm gonna give him some credit here. He looks normal running. You and
We also, you said he looked normal running. You know what we said? We said she did a great job of looking like a woman who's never run a day in her life.
here's my thing. So I have recently watched Heated Rivalry. One
Yes.
of the characters in Heated Rivalry is a very like popular hockey player who goes to this smoothie shop all the time and gets smoothies, and he's often pictured in the show running. Hannah, you have to watch the show or just look up him running. He looks awful. I'm like, this is a beautiful man who cannot run. Stop making him have so many running scenes.
Tom Blythe knew how to run.
Yes, he looked
Emily,
great running. I was like, I
she,
believe it.
Emily Bader said, you know what my job is? It's to look comedically funny running. And
And
she
she did
did
it.
it. She did it so well.
I need her in
Um,
so many movies. I,
I
I
know.
just do.
She was such a good comedic actress. I also loved a Molly Shannon and Alan Ruck scene, like that chef's kiss. Love to see
Mhm.
Molly Shannon. She's so funny.
Yeah.
Um,
They were
but
great parents, very much along the lines of Easy A in my mind.
yes. You know what my husband said was his least favorite part of the movie?
What's that?
And I quote, he said, I don't think she'd get bored of that job.
Taking vacations.
He goes, I call bullshit. I think she would have loved that job for the rest of her
Uh,
life. And I was like, well, you wouldn't like traveling all the time. Like it was one of those where I was like, you would hate that job. You would hate to
I
travel. And he's
think it
like,
depends on the person
yeah. But he
because
goes,
I don't know that
as
I
long
would
as she
like.
loves a good vacate, as long as she has good vacation time where she gets to be at home sometimes. But that job seemed really reasonable, Hannah.
I'm gonna somewhat agree with him that it does seem like an awesome job that only exists in rom-coms, and that it seems ridiculous to be like, I gotta pass on this to go to Linfield, Ohio. But at the same time, I do think it depends on the type of person because some people do not have that like poppy style of like I feel comfortable traveling. I
Hmm.
love to like see different places and meet all sorts of different people. Like I myself have travel anxiety, so I think
That's
that
fair.
you can still want to see places and at the same time be like, I cannot travel more than 3 times a year.
That's very fair. No. It was just very funny for him to be like, no, I think she would have loved that.
Yeah.
Um,
In an ideal world, I think that she would keep that job forever, but unfortunately, Linfield, Ohio.
Linfield, Ohio. Well, they do end up back in New York because they do that in the book and the movie. Like he's a professor in
Hmm.
New York.
Yep.
She just goes to Linfield to
Well,
be
in
with him.
the book, he was a writer as well because he
Yes.
wrote things and then was he actually a teacher to begin with, or he became a teacher when he moved back to Linfield because that was kind of the option. And then when he got the job at the university when he's with Poppy, that was kind of like him living out his actual dream.
Yes, I do think like he ends up becoming a writer, maybe not a professor in the
Okay.
book. Because I also think that they like spend more time in Linfield after, like they
Okay.
travel a little bit more back and forth. Um, because he did like living in Linfield in the book. I think in the movie they're just like
Okay.
New York. I do appreciate that she didn't have to move back to Linfield full time because I do think
Yeah.
in earlier 90s movies it would have been like my hometown wasn't that bad. I'll move back for a boy. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes you don't have to move back. Sometimes you should. Sometimes you don't have
Sure.
to. Like, um, but yeah, overall great movie.
What a great
Um,
movie. I loved it. Was there a favorite part that you had or anything?
I really loved the New Orleans scenes. I thought that those were just like spectacularly done. It was so
Y-
fun to watch.
You know what? I had a specific moment in the New Orleans stuff that I loved when they were talking about her current boyfriend. And we kind of briefly touched on this, how she was dating a bunch of people that just they didn't seem like good guys or the type that
Yeah.
she was suited for. But they were talking about her current boyfriend, and Alex admits that he doesn't like him, and she says, "I don't think he's not the one. We're not gonna be
Yeah.
together." And I kind of liked her acknowledging that, and I think it's
Mhm.
kind of rare to see that in a rom-com even where we have the lead actress who's n not quite found the one,
Yeah.
recognizing that this is not the one, but
Especially
we're
with the
together and it's fine. We're together and it's fine for now. And I think a lot of rom-coms fall on they think it's the one and they want to make it work and then
especially
they
with
break up and they're
female leads. I think
yes.
specifically female leads are always supposed to be dating quote unquote
Yes.
the one, but it's the wrong one. And it's the male leads who are like, "Oh, I'm just sleeping with me." I did like that like
Mm-hmm.
Poppy was someone who was a casual dater. She like had
Yep.
these relationships where they were on the same terms and they were just having
Mm-hmm.
fun. That is a very good point.
Yeah, I think that was one of I also love the New Orleans stuff, but I think that was like one of my favorite parts of the movie was her acknowledging that and having those types of relationships. But I also love the rain scenes.
Yeah. I loved the dancing in New Orleans because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
something that happens with rom-coms, especially about like friends to lovers type thing, is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't see them having fun a lot. Like
Yep.
you see that they have a connection, but it's always like a little bit
Mm-hmm.
tragic. And it was just fun watching them have fun. And like
Yeah.
that was the same as like her laughing when he was stuck naked and he threw his penis sock at her and she's
Uh-huh.
just like, "Ew." And I'm like, that's two friends having fun.
Yes.
And it made me root for them as a couple, where it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, oh, we just have to be together because we have to be
Yep.
together. Like there was something very fresh about that. And I did very much enjoy that. So
Yeah. I thought it was just really a great movie overall. And you're right, like those types of moments where we saw the actual friendship, it just made it perfect.
it did. I do want to note that I was reading some reviews. This only has a 76% on Rotten
Let's
Tomatoes.
fix that.
And it was just like people kind of, I don't know, there were people being like, this is nothing new. And I'm like, but it kind of like
It is new.
it's a nice throwback, but it has like new features. It has
Hmm.
like beautiful scene setting. And I don't know if people are expecting a little bit like not too much out of rom-coms, but like a little bit too much like it has to be different and unique
I,
in every way and I'm like
I
actually this
think
is
people have a little
unique.
bit lost the plot when it comes to complaining about we don't have any new things. You know what
Yes.
I mean? Because that has been a common complaint. I think you and I have even complained about this too, that we need
Yeah.
new ideas in television and movies. However, I do think that something like this is fresh. In my opinion, this is
Hmm.
fresh. When it's not fresh is when it's like, we need, I hate to say it, Hannah, because I know that you liked it, another Superman remake. How many
I
times can we hear about
I
these
didn't
superheroes?
need it, but I liked it.
I
Like,
know lots of people liked it. Or Spider-Mans. How many Spider-Mans do we need? How many Incredible Hulks do we need? We need one more Incredible Hulk because the one was terrible. So we do need
well,
more Incredible Hulks. But I'm just saying, like, that in my mind is kind of what I'm thinking when it's like people complaining about, like, we want fresh ideas. Like, yeah, let's maybe not have a million remakes of things. Let's try to get
right.
fresher ideas. We don't need a bunch
Well,
of different Ghostbusters. We can have
and a lot of
new
the like
things.
reviews were like, it's just the same old, same old. It's background. It's so close to being a Hallmark movie. And I was like, well, A, it's
No,
not. Like, I don't think
no.
the writing is bad. Like, I don't think the writing is bad. I
These
don't
people
think
have clearly not watched Hallmark movies.
I don't think the writing is lit fic, but like that's not what we're asking for. Like Emily
Hmm.
Henry, we have always talked about, is cinematic in her writing. You
Yes.
read it and you visualize the movie in your head.
Yes.
That's okay for a rom-com to be like that.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, like we talked about the throwbacks, I've been watching like throwback movies a lot recently, and
Hmm.
some of them aren't very good, but they're
Hmm.
fun or they're ones that you've watched for years and years and years. And like
Hmm.
here's the thing, like s- uh while you were sleeping, wild premise if you watch
Yes.
it, and like wild ending. But people love that movie. And so when the people are
I
like, well,
adore it.
there's
Hmm.
nothing new out. And I'm like, I think you just don't like some of the zaniness. Like,
I
and
think the other
again,
thing too,
yeah,
there things can be formulaic and still be
yes.
new. And so
Yes.
when people are, that's what I mean, where people have kind of lost the plot a little bit when it comes to saying that things are not new or fresh. Like you can still have a new mystery movie
Hmm.
and it can still follow a certain formula that mysteries generally follow, where we
Right.
know at this point they're on the lead and they think it's this person, but that's actually a fake out because it's going to be this person in 20 minutes. So,
Right.
like those things always happen. There's formulas that writers and screenplays have to follow. And so something being formulaic in terms of a rom-com is not the same as something being redone.
Right. And I do agree with that. And that's not to say like if people didn't like this movie, it wasn't for them. That's fine. Like you get to have your
Oh,
taste and like,
yeah,
but like,
everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm like, if you seriously didn't like People We Meet on Vacation, more power to you. But
yeah, like you get to have that. But I do think it's weird to be like, oh, it's just the same old triteness. I'm like, but it's
yeah,
not. Like it is
I
kind
think
of,
we're just pushing back on that a little
yeah,
bit.
exactly. So I really enjoyed this film. I'm glad it
Same.
exists. I think we all, like everyone in my
I want the
household had a good
DVD.
time. Yeah. I do want the DVD of this. I want to throw it on like on a summer afternoon
Yep.
and just kind of like watch it and just have fun. Like I miss movies like this quite a
Hmm.
bit. So, um, I wanted I wanted Poppy's pajamas in the seat, like with all
Yeah,
the like
she had cool
yeah, like
style though,
she
like
had
her
cool
romper and
style.
everything.
That dress,
Dig it.
I mean, again, she had no
Even her with the
boobs,
wig.
so
Come
she,
on.
she's so pretty. So
Hmm.
like, everything's fantastic. I loved it. I
Let's
did.
cast Emily Bader and everything.
Let's cast her in everything and give that poor blonde Sarah something else to do because she did not get enough to do in her
Yeah.
next movie.
I
She
will
did
just say
exactly what
before
she was
we
supposed to.
wrap that I looked up online. Emily Henry did say she did get to have some say in some of the casting
Oh,
decisions, as well as like
good.
some say with certain decisions that were made with the movie. The director, Brett Haley, actually allowed her to have a little bit of direction when it came to making choices with the film. So I think that's great too.
I do. I like that. More rom-coms in 2026 like this. Please,
You know what?
please,
I
please.
do think that this is opening some doors for rom-coms to be made because I did see friend of the pod, Alison Cochrun, The Charm Offensive is getting an adaptation. So scream, get excited. We will be covering that
We
for
will be
sure.
covering that the
But
month it comes out, guys.
I
Just the
love
month.
The Charm
So,
Offensive so much. Give me all the puzzle pieces and all the fake, all the bachelor style dating
oh,
that we possibly can. Yes, I need it.
nope. I
But
mean, we had
yes.
already mentioned her on the pod. So, and
Hmm.
while you were sleeping, come on. Jack is
Hmm.
the epitome of butch lesbians we want to be. So,
I
um,
am, s- well, the Charm Offensive is
oh
one.
yeah, no, I
It's
know, but
Charlie
I'm
and
just
Day.
saying, like in
Oh, got you,
general,
got
love
you,
Alison Cochrun. Give her
got
all
you.
the adaptions.
Yes,
No, no, no. I
yes,
know.
absolutely. We need all of her books to be adapted. That would be amazing.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I hope this opens doors for other authors who have really great romances too. Looking at you, Talia Hibbert. Hope you get an adaptation for
Me
the Brown
too.
Sisters. That would be a great TV series, and we
That
need
would be
it.
a great. So good.
But yeah, I think that this was an awesome start. Emily Henry is obviously like a big name in rom-coms, and Book Talk probably made it happen that we got
Yeah,
this
probably.
adaptation. So thank you, Book Talk.
Thank you all. And join us tomorrow for our regularly scheduled programming as
Hmm.
we do a deep dive into the themes and characters of Faithful Place. What a bummer after this
I'm gonna
discussion.
cry.
And we may have a special announcement for tomorrow's episode, so tune in for
Yay!
that. And if you would be so willing, rate, review, subscribe, follow us on all the social platforms. It's a TV Tuesday. You know all of that stuff, but we do love talking about these, so we're looking forward to more to come in 2026.
Bye.
All right. Bye.